Welcome everyone. Today we'll learn how to handle parent-child component communication using input signals and function-based outputs. So as a prerequisite, we'll download a simple Angular app. I'll provide the link of the GitHub repository in the description below. So clone the initial branch, copy the URL. In a terminal, I type git clone. I'll open VS Code and open the containing folder. Now open a new terminal and type npm to install the node packages, and I will add the force flag to avoid conflicts. Run the command, clear the terminal and type ngs to save the application. Open the Angular app. This is a simple shopping cart application. This is plain HTML. We're rendering this shopping cart from a Bootstrap template. I'll provide the link in the description below. So go back to the application and expand the add folder to explain briefly the shopping cart application. So we have the shopping cart component. So in the TypeScript file, I created a product list, which is based on this product interface with several properties. And in the ng on init, I'm initializing 3 products, and the items will be to pass the shopping cart items. So I initialize the items with taking the 2 first products and initialize this shopping cart item interface with the ID of the product and quantity as 1. And we have this get shopping cart products to get the products based on the shopping cart item IDs. So in the HTML, I'm rendering the shopping cart title, and using the for statement, we'll iterate over the get shopping cart products and render the child component, which is the app shopping cart item. So go to this second component, and this is the plain HTML. So it has no functionality, and the TypeScript file is empty. And finally, in the roots, we're defining the default root for the shopping cart component. Now let's define, or let's handle communication from the parent component to the child component using the traditional approach, which is the input decorators. So go to the shopping cart item component, which is the child component, and create 2 input decorators at the reference to the Angular code. So the first input will be the product. This will be of type product, and the second input will be for the quantity. Okay, so add a quantity input, which is a number. And in the parent component, go to the HTML, we'll bind the product and the quantity. So we'll pass these 2 input properties. So the product will be the item, and the quantity will be the quantity of the item. So create a new function in the TypeScript file. So let me define the function name. Based on the item, we'll get the quantity. So create this method, declare this method in the TypeScript file. Let me copy this method at the bottom. So basically with the product, we'll return based on the items, we'll find the item based on the product ID, which is equal to the product ID, and then we'll get the quantity, and that's it. So we're passing the product and the quantity, and now render all the data, all the input data, which is the product and the quantity, in this plain HTML. So replace the source, which will be product.url, and replace all the properties from this HTML. For the price, we'll add the currency pipe to format the value. So go to the TypeScript file, and in the import section, add the currency pipe. The subtotal will be the product price multiplied by the quantity. Save all and go to the Angular application. We are displaying the shopping cart items by handling the parent-child component communication with the input decorators. We're passing each shopping cart item with the details. Now go back and replace the traditional approach, which is the input decorators, with input signals. So comment out these two inputs and define the product input signal, which will be input at the import from Angular Core. And we can define input signals as optional or required. In this case, let's define the two inputs as required. So we need to define the type of the input signal, and similarly for the quantity, taking the name and will be a number type, and that's it. Because this is an input signal for each property, we need to go to the HTML for the shopping cart item and invoke the signal for the product and for the quantity. So search all the products and replace for the product input signal by adding parentheses, and similarly for the quantity, because it's an input signal, and that's it. Save it, go back, and we have the same result. We're displaying the information with input signals. Now go back and handle child to component communication with the output decorator. We pass the quantity from this shopping cart item component with these two buttons to the parent component to update the item quantity. So go back and go to the shopping cart item component and declare an output decorator, which is the traditional approach, and define the event, which will be the quantity updated. So import from Angular Core and create a new event emitter to send an event. In this case, we'll send a number value. So go to the HTML and go to the buttons, which we add or subtract a quantity. So in this method, we'll replace this onClick function. We'll add the click event, and in this case, we'll send an event so-called quantity updated that emit. So we'll emit the quantity value -1 in this case, and with the second button, we'll add 1 in the quantity of the item. So emit a value, which is the quantity +1, and now go to the parent component to listen the event. So add the quantity updated event, and we'll invoke a function to set the item quantity based on the item, in this case, to find the product, to find the item and the emitted value from the child component. So create a new method, set item quantity in the shopping cart component. So let me copy this function at the final. Let's replace the names as product, and this event will be the new quantity. So we'll create a constant to find the item. So basically we'll take this part to find the item based on the ID, and then we just simply update the quantity, which will be the new quantity that we get from the child component. Save it and test the functionality. If we update the quantity, the subtotal is updated. Let's add the currency pipe to the subtotal. So go to the HTML and at the final add the currency pipe to format the value. As you can see, we're emitting the quantity value from the child component to the parent component using the output decorator, which is the traditional approach. Now, to handle this child to parent communication, let's use function-based outputs, which is a simpler syntax. So go to the shopping cart item component TypeScript, comment out this line, and we just simply create a new function-based output by using output, and we define the type, which is number. You don't need to create a new event emitter class. We just simply define the output, and we use the same emit function in the HTML to send the data, to send the quantity to the parent component. So go back to the application. As you will see, it has the same result, the same behavior. So far, so good. Now go back and use the power of Angular signals to recalculate the subtotal. We'll recalculate the subtotal based on the input quantity. So how to do that? Go to the child component, the shopping cart item, and we'll add a new computed signal, which will be subtotal. So subtotal will be a computed signal Basically, this is a derived signal based on the quantity. Every time we update the quantity, the input signal will recalculate the subtotal. So this subtotal will be the product input signal. We take the price and we multiply the price by the quantity input signal. Every time the quantity is updated, we'll recalculate the subtotal. So save it and replace in the HTML this part and use the subtotal computed signal. Save it and test. As you can see, we're recalculating the subtotal every time we update the quantity. So in this demo, we learn how to handle parent-child component communication with input signals and function-based outputs.